First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
Luis, I want to bring into the conversation, and we did not set this up. This is Sheriff Mashel, who listens, has decided to call in. Can I bring him into the conversation?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Sheriff, you're on. Good morning. Thanks for calling in. We're speaking with Luis Roman.
Good morning. How are you today?
Good, sir. How are you?
Very good.
So I want to talk about Oneida Lake in a little bit, but can we talk a little bit about what Luis is talking about here?
Sure, absolutely. Obviously, it's been a struggle. I think about a month ago we were at about 64 full-time openings. At today's numbers, I'm not there yet, but since we last spoke of the 64 openings, I think we're down to 53, 54. So we've added about 10 staff, although these are untrained. There's a lot of training that has to get underway, a lot of work ahead. But he is correct. We've been doing probably the most intense recruitment efforts that we've ever done. We're actually, we learned through this whole COVID situation and whatnot that, and even pre-COVID, law enforcement, it's been a challenging career to get people enticed to get into, only because of the climate around the country, although that climate is not here in this part of New York State. I mean, we have a tremendous relationship with our community, all facets of law enforcement, but we found we have to go to the people. We have to take our show on the road and go to the people. So recruitment efforts are amped up, and he is correct. They are very effective. I mean, we're doing everything we possibly can. Obviously, the challenge is also retention. Retention is big because it is frustrating when you lose a person with 10 or 12 years of experience and training and the investment you've made in them. And you lose them to either another law enforcement level job that pays a little more. I think one of the things that is concerning to the members is they can go work for another law enforcement agency and retire 5 years sooner, or retire with a higher level of contribution on their health insurance. So those two, it seems as though those are obviously a very important component. So it's a balancing act. I mean, at the management level at the sheriff's office, we're trying to do all we can to recruit people, because again, if we lower the number of vacancies, we can in essence lower the number of mandatory overtime to give people working more time off. Obviously, the retention issue that involves negotiations, and that's where the union comes in, and sheriff's office, unlike other levels of law enforcement agencies around the state, we are a co-employer. A labor union contract with the sheriff's office, whether it's our corrections contract or our patrol contract, doesn't have two signatures on it. It has three signatures on it. Obviously, the union rep, and in this case, it's President Luis Roman, myself as the sheriff, as obviously the employing agency, and then the county executive, Anthony Pacenti's signature, because they are a co-employer. They obviously they provide the personnel, personnel services through the personnel department. They provide the funding to pay our members and the fringe benefits that go with the pay. And obviously they work for the sheriff as an independently elected official. So it's a three signature contract, which is unusual. It's typically two. It'd be a police chief and a mayor, or a police chief and a union president. In this case, it involves three people. So, we're going at it in multiple angles, trying to do all we possibly can. And like you said, you compound it with COVID, you compound it with other factors going on. Even though we have less inmates than we did by bail reform, our inmates that we do have are much more challenging, in many cases much more dangerous. Commission of Corrections has put different levels of classification on us now, so even though we have less inmates in our facility than we did, we are using every part of the facility because we have to separate the inmates in different categories, or in our terms, they're classified differently. So all in all, it's probably at its most challenging time ever in the law enforcement field And it's frustrating because you're trying to move ahead in like 12 different directions at the same time.
Sheriff, are you in the middle of negotiating right now with the union, or is that process going on right now?
There are negotiations with the Deputy Sheriff's PBA, but not corrections. Their contract is up at the end of the year, I believe.
All right, and go ahead, Luis.
Bill, I look forward to being negotiations, but I don't see that coming to fruition very quickly because the patrol deputies have already declared impasse after just a few meetings that they can't come to an agreement. So while I look forward to negotiations, I'm not excited about it, especially if the patrol deputies can't come to an agreement quickly. I know that the sheriff can't speak about an active negotiations. It's against the rules, and I'm out of contract. I'm still in contract, but I don't negotiate till the end of the year. And I really think that the county and the sheriff is going to have to come up with something sooner.
All right, Sheriff, you want to comment on that?
Again, he's correct. Obviously, there are ongoing negotiations with the road patrol deputies, and that's a process that because they are ongoing, I can't comment on that. But obviously, like I said, it's a balancing act. We're trying to keep everything moving. Obviously, first and foremost, the obligation of whether it's management level or every correction officer, deputy sheriff, is to keep our community safe. So, obviously, we get our work done, and at the same time, like I said, we're trying to do everything we possibly can in our power to work on recruitment efforts, to work on retention efforts. And again, if everybody stays focused, I'm confident we'll do the best we can to get as close to where everyone needs to be.
And Sheriff Luis had said, and that while recruitment is incredibly important, and his belief is that recruitment has been going very, very well. The key issue is to try to find a way to keep those experienced that experienced personnel. The retention seems to be a big issue going forward.
It is. And again, I don't control the money, so you have to understand that part too. Under Sheriff Lisi and I mean, we are as committed as anyone can be committed to doing everything we can to make our workplace as pleasant as it can be under some of the most extreme circumstances that we've dealt with. I believe me. I mean, well, you guys know me personally outside of my job. I'm as committed can be, but again, I only have so much power when it's to certain aspects of employment with the sheriff's office.
All right, Luis, you want to anything you want to add before we let you go?
Oh, I just look forward, to making sure that the public knows, what the men and women at the jail are doing and going through. It's not an easy job for one. It's not an easy job to continue to work these long hours. And the sheriff, and under Sheriff Lisi and, their administrative staff has done what they can. I'm just looking for a little bit more.
All right. Okay, Luis, we'll do this again. Thank you for the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day. That got very, very interesting with you calling in, Sheriff.
Well, in fairness, I had the sheriff call in for the flag.
I wasn't even listening this morning. I was calling in about boats. But just one thing I want to clarify: we don't encourage mandatory overtime. We don't do that to save money. If there was anything I could do to lessen the amount of mandatory overtime that the members of the sheriff's office, the dedicated men and women, have to put out every single day when it comes to getting held over. As he said, there are every day 10 to 15 people at the end of the shift have to stay that planned on going home. Yep. That is not something I like. That is not something I enjoy. And certainly we don't do that to save money. So that was a little bit off base there. That is not done to save money. Believe me, if I could fill every one of those 54 full-time positions tomorrow, I would do it in a second. But I'm doing everything I possibly can to try to do that.
Okay, and to clear stuff up, and we have a miscommunication here, as I thought you were calling in about this topic, and Andrew is telling me he had you call in about Oneida Lake.
Yes.
So that, Sheriff, just so you know, is how that whole thing went down. And I'm going to give Andrew a big punch in the arm when the show's over.
And I'll immediately file charges with Ed as my witness.
But and then I'll see you with the sheriff's department. I'll be at the jail later today. So.
But is it that's fine. No, I don't mind. Believe me, I live and breathe this place.
I understand
every day,
you do.
So
I do.
I'm, as you guys know, I can pretty much attempt to answer any question, no matter what the topic is. So.
And Ed Schmidt is in here this morning. He's one of our guest hosts this morning. So
good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning, Ed.
How are you?
Good morning. Ed and I have we've worked our whole career together. I remember having coffee with Ed about
30 plus
decades ago at the corner of French and Burstone at the Nice and Easy.
This is true. A lot of good memories.
Yep.
But it's just tough to find the qualified people interested, in a lot of these jobs.
Yeah.
And as the sheriff said, I firmly believe he would fill every position tomorrow if he could. But also, you made a very good point that of the level of offender that is housed in your facility now with bail reform is really
changing,
much higher risk.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it
and
due to bail reform.
The other thing that hurt us with COVID was a lot of mental health programs were shut down, as you know, because there weren't offering face-to-face mental health treatment, and these people who don't need to be in jail were getting themselves in predicaments out in the community where jail was the only option. So, I mean, it's just very sad because we have inmates in our facility that really need mental health treatment, and they don't necessarily belong in jail, but in many cases that's the only place that we can put them. And I feel terrible because these people truly, like I said, have some mental health issues that they need help with, and we do our best. I mean, our mental health unit does a great job, but again, we're just a Band-Aid in a county jail. We're not a fix-all for that.
Some of these people actually seek that security. Seek that control.
Of being in a facility. Yeah.
Specifically to what the sheriff was just referring to.
Okay, quickly we'll switch gears and talk about Oneida Lake. It's funny because Ed, who has a camp out on the lake, saw his deck just blown apart yesterday by the waves coming in.
Well, I happened to walk out around 11 o'clock last night, and a section of the dock was actually coming apart. So fortunately, my wife was there, and she was able to get a flashlight on it, and I was in the water 11 o'clock last night securing it.
And Sheriff, we're talking about the water levels being about 2 feet higher than normal right now.
Yes, and it's there. We were out there. The debris is just incredible. The amount of there's always debris, obviously, after any storm or whatnot, but this is unprecedented. I mean, we're seeing docks floating by. I provided some photos to Andrew. I mean, there are boats floating where campgrounds used to be, where you could see the tent still, attached to trees and whatnot. So we're advising people to please stay off the lake. I mean, I know I can't enforce a boating ban because I have no way to enforce that. But over the weekend, myself, Sheriff Hilton from Oswego County, Sheriff Hood from Madison County, Sheriff staff from Sheriff Conway's administration out in Onondaga County, we had a conference call with Emergency Services and the New York State Canal Corp talking about this problem. When we decided to put out a joint boating advisory, I guess you could say, because but unfortunately, you know what? Last night, someone was out on a boat, and people were concerned about their safety. So here we go: Cleveland Fire Department, Sylvan Beach Fire Department, Coast Guard heading out onto these dangerous, extremely dangerous waters, and to check on people. And folks, please just give it a couple days for the water level to go down. So again, we can try to get people to get their, help people get their places cleaned up and get the debris out of the water, so we can resume what's left of our summer here.
Yeah, there's just so many hidden hazards right now.
Right. That would not normally be there because of the debris in the water.
That's stuff that's covered that would normally be exposed.
Yeah, very good point. Yep. Okay, Sheriff, we appreciate that, and hopefully people. Again, what you say is when somebody does take that risk, it's forcing, in some cases, when there's trouble, it forces all these other agencies and all these other people to have to take a risk that they normally would not have to take.
Certainly, and like last night, you had over 20 volunteer firefighters and Coast Guard auxiliary out there risking their lives to look for someone if they would have just stayed on shore and not gone out on those very dangerous conditions.
Okay. All right, Sheriff, we appreciate the time on both issues. Thanks.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a great day.
You do the same.
Bye-bye.
What's the easiest choice you can make? Window instead of middle seat? Picking a vendor who sends a great gift basket? Outsourcing business tasks you hate? What about selling with Shopify? Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage. Shopify's there to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell. Wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/try. Go to shopify.com/try now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/try.